Hello, good evening. Welcome to Easy 8. My name's Danny, says it right down there. Did you notice there was a little bit of a difference today? My theme tune didn't come on. I ruined my sound effects. As long as you can hear me okay, I can hear some music, I can hear me. Welcome to the show, episode 108, I believe it is. It seems like a million years ago since we were in the double digits. We've had loads of new subscribers this week, so if you're one of those people that have joined in recently, thank you so much for hitting that subscribe button. If you're new here, this isn't a tutorial channel or anything like that at all. This is just literally a social club where you can come make some friends over here in the live chat, maybe listen to me and be inspired and motivated and come along and bring your miniatures to get painted, because we've all got hordes and hordes of stuff that needs painting, right? I'm just surrounded by it. If you went onto Facebook last week, you would have noticed that I'd done a little video of just touring around my studio to show you what you don't see here around this crazy screen box thing. We've got loads of people joining us in the live chat already. Last week was really busy. Let's see if we can have another busy week. We've got Leslie, we've got Jeff, and we've got Adrian so far. Sometimes it mixes up all the colours, so I can't see if there's anybody different. Sometimes people share them colours. Hi Adrian, good evening Easy 8 in the style of good morning Vietnam, I assume. Hey Dan, hi Leslie, how's it going? Hi Dad, that's Jeff. This week I am going to be painting some tanks from my little 15mm war games collection of little tanks. I absolutely love them. I think they're brilliant. He says no music, unsubscribes. You can't hear the music. That's a real shame. I hope you can hear music. I can hear music. I don't care if you can't hear the music. Put on your own music. Who cares? Hopefully you're just joking. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to be painting my 15mm tanks this week. I absolutely love doing them. I haven't painted them for a little while. All year so far I've been painting Tyranids from Warhammer 40,000. I'd love to do loads more Warhammer 40,000 stuff. It is my 41st year around the sun. I think that 41 and the 41st millennium kind of, they're a good number to get loads of 40k stuff done, but it's just a bit boring to do all the time, so I'm just going to have a cheeky little break from that for a few weeks and just get loads of my models from other ranges, kind of give them some attention because they're suffering a little bit. I've got a couple of German vehicles, I've got a couple of French vehicles, and I've got a couple of British vehicles. I think I've also, in a little box somewhere down here, which I can't quite, oh I see it just down there, I've got some American vehicles as well. I've got quite a collection and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and I've kind of neglected them for a little while. I'm going to be using predominantly my airbrush today, which the reason I was a little bit late on is I was having to clean it because I think that the needle set is just a bit old, damaged, collects a lot of paint, and even though I gave it a once through the last time I used it, timely compressor there just starting up in the background. The last time I used it, I did give it a clean, but it was pretty clogged. So I made sure that I gave it a really good clean, and that took me right up to the clock starting. But I've got cleaner, I've got cotton buds and tissue and brushes and everything on standby because I know it's gonna be a problem child today. Leslie says, "Oh cool, I haven't seen the tanks for a while and can hear the music this side. Brilliant." He's just winding me up because he likes my heart rate to go up, but it's okay, I can keep a little check on that on my watch. It says that my heart rate is good. Yes! If you are new here, please do consider subscribing to the channel, share the word of Easy 8, get it known out there. The family is growing. Last week we were like somewhere around 80 to 81. The number goes up sometimes, it goes down sometimes. Today we are on 83. Just earlier on at lunchtime I got my 83rd subscriber, and that's a really good thing. That means that the name of Easy 8 is getting out there. We're getting new members that are coming along, subscribing, and they're sharing the word as well. So welcome to the show. I hope you find a little bit of entertainment and hopefully some motivation and possibly some inspiration. Who knows? That would be wonderful. Just gonna hit my phone out of the shot. I don't like it in a shot. It doesn't look so professional. Get over there, you. Cool. So yeah, if you're painting something this evening, I would love to know. I genuinely would like. I'm not just trying to get like likes or anything like that. I genuinely am interested in the stuff that you're doing. So if you're painting something this evening, let me know what it is. You can drop some pictures over on Facebook if you want to. The little mentions tab doesn't work there anymore. Don't know why, but you can put like photos as a comment to this week's schedule. I always put like a schedule up every week, kind of telling you that I'm going to be on, what I'm going to be talking about loosely. And you can put photos of whatever it is that you're working on over there, or you can come over and I've pointed in the wrong direction, or you could point to I can point to, you can go to the Easy 8 after party on Discord. I'm not going to be on there after the show today. I'm always on there for at least half an hour at the end of every show to come and talk to you guys, because that's fun, right? I like to connect with you guys and ask you your feelings or thoughts about what I'm painting and kind of maybe help you guys out as well. Excuse me, but my partner's away today. She's been doing a rock climbing course. She's an outdoor adventure instructor as well, like I am. And today she's been doing a really cool assessment for all this training she's been doing for months and months and months. And I just got a message about 20 minutes before we went live that she passed her 6-hour exam. That was a physical, practical exam as well. So I'm really proud of you. Yeah, I'm not going to say her name out loud because she doesn't like to be known on the show. So, love you. Anyway, I've got to go pick her up she's celebrating with wine and chips. That's potato chips, not the snack chips, the eating chips. You know, the chip shop chips for all of my American friends out there. I struggled trying to explain what chips were. Anyway, we've got some more people coming in. We've got Michael, or Mike. Hi guys, came back for a second go. Nice to see you again, man. Thanks for coming along. Anyway, I'm going to take you straight back over to the workbench now and get cracking straight away, because I know that airbrush is going to be problematic this week. So I'm going to get a piece of paper out here because I always like to protect my worktop. Oh, that needs a bit of bending. It's turned into a bit of a texture palette now. It's kind of got all these lumps and bumps in it from ages and ages of spray paints. I've got today that I'm going to start with. I've got a couple of these. I think the word is well done, Mrs. Danny. Thanks. I've got a couple of. I think it's pronounced Hornissa, which is German for hornet. This is a version of the Nashorn, which means rhino. I think the only main difference really between the Nashorn and the Hornissa, excuse me if I'm pronouncing that wrong, is a slight difference in frontal armor plates. I believe one of them, I think it was the Nashorn, had additional armor on the front of it. Staff says, I'm here, only for a short time, as Club Runner 8. Well, thanks for coming along. It's the Easy 8 show after all. Nice to see you again, Staff. So yeah, I've got a couple of these bad boys to paint up. The Flames of War tanks often come in packs of 2, so I've got 2 of these. I've also got 2 Churchills. These Churchills, I wanted Churchills for a little while. They're not my favourite tank, but they were a widely used tank by the British forces during the Second World War. And they're kind of an iconic tank for our nation. I say our nation, I am British, obviously. But these are slightly different from the standard one. These don't have turrets. They have a massive 30mm cannon. I think it's not a 30mm cannon. It's a 6-pounder. Beg your pardon. It's a 6-pounder, which is slightly better. Is it a 6-pounder? I'm getting confused now. It's not as good as the 17-pounder. I'm forgetting what the actual gun is in there now. It's a really big gun. I've got the box down here somewhere, which has been hidden away because I tidied it up before the show. It's a really big gun. Normally a Churchill will have like a turret with a big gun. It's a 3-inch gun. Thank you very much. A 3-inch gun, which is slightly better than the 6-pounder, but not as good as the 17-pounder that you'll find on the Firefly. Thank you so much. It's been a bit of a rush trying to get everything started today. So these bad boys need to be painted. The Hornissa and the Churchill are both an interesting model because they've got like a resin structure, and then all the extra bits, the tank tracks and the bogies and the cannons, are all metal. I don't really like that. I don't like metal models really, but you know, it is what it is, and I'm going to paint it anyway. It does make them substantially heavier, so they're kind of, you know, weighty little objects. They're just a bit trickier to paint. I don't think that the details come out on them so well, even on the resin for that fact, really. Plastic, I find a much superior product for a model, but they're still good anyway, right? I also find that metal doesn't bond with the paint so well, especially with the airbrush because it goes on so thin. It's very easy to kind of pull that paint off with your fingertips, etc. So I've got to be a little bit more gentle with these. Priming is going to be essential on these items. And I've also got 2, and I really like these because they're an underrated champion of World War II. Char Bs, which is a French vehicle. When the Germans took control of most of Europe, these became a part of their force, and they really liked them. Especially early war, their armor was actually pretty darn tough. These models are completely metal, and they've got quite heavy and loose turrets. What I'm thinking about doing with these is finding a little bit of dowling or maybe a little bit of tube, super gluing it to the inside of the turret and basically extending a pillar down inside the chassis here. You can see that it's actually quite hollow on the inside to save on materials. And that little tube, or I could even make it out of putty, I suppose, like stick a pencil inside it, I suppose, if I wanted to, would help stop that rattling around and falling off. But for all intents and purposes, painting today is not going to be an issue. I've just noticed that under my studio lights I've got a little bit of sprue or bearing or something left on there that needs to be cleaned up. I'm going to check the other one. I probably won't get all of these painted tonight, so it's not like I have to get to these. I could do a bit more cleaning up on them. They've got like a little mould line going across there, which is a bit cleaner on this one. This one's got a little bit of stuff on there. So I could do a bit more cleanup on those guys. I thought I did a good job on those, but clearly not. I'm going to do the German ones in the Dunkelgelb, which I know that I'm eviscerating that as a pronunciation. I've been told by some of my German viewers that my German language is good, but my accent is rubbish. I apologise. I'm not putting in half the effort I should. These are going to be in the Dunkelgelb, which is the dark yellow, and I'm also going to probably do a little bit of swirly-whirly patterns for the camouflage on them eventually. They've also got an interior with crew in there as well. And with the Churchills, with these bad boys, I'm going to do this in a standard dark British, almost like a bottle green. There are lots of colours that I could do on these ones. I just kind of want to get some colour on them to match some of my fireflies. And also that's the same colour as the Churchill Crocodile, which is in Bovington Tank Museum, that if you've been along with the Easy 8 road trip there on a couple of occasions we've been there now, they've got a crocodile in a dark British green as well, which is a really, really nice tank. I say it's a really nice tank, it's a horrific tank, it's a giant flamethrower, which is horrible. First of all though, they need some priming. So I'm going to get some priming on the way with my grey primer. Here it is. There's loads of comments going in. I'm sure I saw Rob. Yeah, there he is. Sounds cool about the Fantasy Tavern. Well, what about the Fantasy Tavern? I'm missing so much already. Oh my goodness, I'm going to have to... This is what I had to do earlier on with last week, because I had to go back and read all the live comments at the end of the show because I couldn't keep up the conversations getting so chatty in there. I see now. Mike says, not painting at the moment, busy cutting out XPS foam bricks for a scratch build Fantasy Tavern. That sounds amazing. I'd love to see some pictures of that. That'd be great. Rob's with us. Hello all. Rob here. Hi Rob. Thanks for coming along again, mate. Nice to see you again. Working on more Necromunda Ash Waste Nomads, more building and gluing. Stafford says, Stafford, that would be a hard 8. Yes. Yeah. This is supposed to be an easy evening, mate. Don't go for a club run. Yep, 3-inch gun, not 6-pounder. Yep, you're right there. Mike says, been looking out on Pinterest for ideas about windows, dormers, greeblies, etc. Oh my god, some people out there have have made some cool looking stuff. Yeah, Pinterest is an absolutely awesome source for looking out for like loads of bits of inspiration and whatever. Ask my dad, Jeff, because he makes all that sort of stuff as well, so he can probably give you tips and tips and tricks and things. I will end up looking like Homer because you're eating custard donuts. Uh-oh. I'm not a big fan of custard donuts. I'm a jam donut fan, or a chocolate hazelnut fan. But I'm on a bit of a diet because I barely fit into my EasyGate shirt. Just got some primer here that I'm going to put through the airbrush. But before I do that, I'm going to give it a good old shake. And Staff, just for you, it's the Wasmatic time. There we go. Right, now primer is a little bit thicker. It's a little bit gloopier, so I'm hoping that it's not going to give me any grief going through the airbrush. If it's going to be a bit of a blockage fest today, I'm going to put a little bit of thinner in there, just a drop or two. Here it is. Nothing too crazy, and I'm going to mix that up. So if you watched my Facebook post earlier on the week showing you how messy my studio is, I haven't tidied it before tonight. My whole desk just outside the shop, just there. It's absolutely covered in paint. It's ridiculous. I need to have a really good tidy up in here. But I don't want to. So there. Was it? There he is. Okay, a little bit of a flow test. Wonderful. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start with a Churchill. Just because I feel I should. I got the name of his gun wrong, so here we go. I'm just going to give him a little bit of a light dusting to start with. Like you can almost barely see it. Hopefully not pulling that up with my fingers as I'm moving it around. This is a little trick that I picked up from another fellow YouTuber who is a very, very talented Gundam painter, and he says with his experience, a slight little dusting so you can barely see it, and then you let that dry and you can just aid that with just cold air from your from the airbrush. I'm gonna spin the paper around so I don't have to keep on touching it. And you just do that for about 30 seconds. I'm a little bit more impatient, so I'm probably going to go for half that time. And then you can then give it some proper layering. The little trick with the airbrush is that you should try to avoid doing continual blasts, because that will build up paint on the interior surface, especially around the nozzle and on the tip of the needle, which will then dry and then snowball effect, it'll get blocked. With constant pulses, what you're doing is you're adding short, sharp bursts to the paint that's building up, and it blows that free. Big and yellow Stafford. Rob says, what games do you play with the tanks? Is it Flames of War type stuff or a different scale? So it is the same scale as Flames of War, and I am actually interested in playing Flames of War because it includes a lot of troops and things like that. I and my friends play What a Tankum, which is it can be a very brief game. It can be quite a lengthy game depending on your luck, really, more than anything. It is a game designed by the two fat lardies, and you can pick up the rule book in PDF form if you want to from their website. The idea, along with a lot of their games, or all of their games, is designed to kind of simulate the pressures and calamities of the war theatre, especially back in the 1940s, where they didn't have communications and equipment as capable as what we have nowadays. So everything that you can do is based around dice rolls. For example, if you want to shoot at your opponents, you would need to roll a 4, which is your command for shooting, but you can't do that unless you've already loaded your cannon. You can load your cannon at any time as long as you roll a 5, but before you can actually shoot a loaded cannon, you need to have acquired your target, and you need to also aim at your target. Acquiring the target is the commander essentially. Oh, excuse me. Is your commander essentially pointing it out, going, there's an enemy over there. I see that as a threat. Let's turn around and face that one. And then your aiming is your gunner getting a bead on that tank. You cannot do one before the other, so you have to get an acquire, and then you have to get an aim, and then you can shoot. But you can only shoot if you have got your cannon loaded and all the other prerequisites. And it's a frustrating game sometimes when you've got your target acquired, you've got him aimed so well that it's going to be an easy shot, and all your gunner is doing is chatting with the loader, trying to help him load around him. Same if you want to move somewhere. If your driver isn't rolling command dice for ones, you ain't going to be moving anywhere, and you're going to be a sitting duck. 6s are a wild dice, and they can be used for anything. Right, giving him a good few layers on there, nice and gently as I went, and now I'm just going to give him some air, just air from the airbrush to help accelerate that drying process. I do have a hairdryer down beside me, so if I want to in a little bit, I can get that out and dry with the hairdryer. Jeff says, well, the 3-inch gun was an AA gun, 76mm. Oh. The 76mm was a standard on the one of the standard variants on the Sherman, but it must be much larger shell, perhaps. You can tell that it's a beefy thing because it's got a casemate and not a turret. So yeah, there's a lot behind all of that armour going on in there. Right, I'm just going to move him over to the side for a second, and I'm going to bring in Churchill number 2. Here we go. So, just like I did a minute ago, a little bit of a flow test. Yep. A light dusting. And I think the reason for this light dusting and you know, not going too heavy for right now is just to give something for the rest of the paint to hold on to, making sure that there's a little bit of texture, even if it's on a microscopic level. Letting that dry properly so it kind of dries bonds as best as it can, and then the rest of the paint will hold on to that. So again, just going to give it a bit of air. Sounds like a fun game. It is a fun game, and if you're local, then I will challenge you to a game. How's that? We'll arrange time and a place and a force. But between me and the Easy 8 community, we've got enough to provide the entire Wehrmacht. Okay. Breaking my own rule there of doing continual strokes. Nice to see it all go into one colour, because it's been sat there as grey and silver for a while, and it's the start of it, isn't it? It's the transition now into real colours. I've got a load of Shermans as well that all need painting. I've got a couple of Hellcat. No, I haven't got Hellcats. Chaffies. I've got Chaffies, and I think I've got one Hellcat as well, which still needs building actually. Now these guys have obviously got some undersides to do as well, but I'm going to let all of this bit dry well before I get there. Got a bit heavy on the back there, so I'm just going to make sure that I give that a good dry before I keep on going over it. Still got some in the copper, barely. Might have to put some more in there in a second. There we go, I'm out. So I'm going to put a drop of water in there a minute, just to loosen off anything that's stuck in there. Lovely. Staff says, and it's frustrating. Yeah, Stafford is one of my regular opponents, and is a very good player, but unfortunately has fell afoul of unlucky dice syndrome. I'm local to you, I think. Danny says, Mike, cool. Do you know what? Let's have an Easy 8 game day. Let's make that happen. We'll find somewhere public and large enough to house a load of people. Let's make that a thing. I'd be up for some tanker tinkering. Brilliant. We'll get everyone involved. I'm going to put a little bit more thinner. I put in 2 drops earlier. That seemed to be appropriate. I did have a tissue, but I threw it away. It's okay. Use my fingertips for now. That's bad, isn't it? Let's give that a blend in the hopper, mix in the thinner. Lovely. Flow test. I think I'm getting a bit of a build-up on my needle. So, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to get a cotton bud. Oh, there we go. Got a cotton bud here. I'll use the little wooden ones because I think they're better for the environment. As an airbrush user, it's quite easy to go quite bonkers with using these. You can use a lot of them just in one session. So I think it's good for the environment to not be pushing all that plastic into the ocean or wherever it's going to go. Anyway, flow test. There we go. And just keep on going. while priming is a necessary thing to do, it does feel a little bit like Easy 8 priming club, doesn't it? We'll get some colour on it soon, I promise. Okay. Oh, no, it's still a little bit tacky. I could feel it. I could feel it. What I just did there was, while I was just kind of blowing some air through it, I just made sure that the paint on the needle or something wasn't dry. So I just gave it a quick blast just to make sure there wasn't anything building up in there. Okay. There we go. That's good enough. Okay. I'm going to do the Hornissa now. I feel reluctant to do the Char Bees just because I've clearly still got a little bit of cleaning up to do on those. So I'm going to paint these for the first half, and then depending on how we get on with those, I'll dig out the box with my my Chappies in there, and I've got a couple of Shermans as well. So yeah, that'd be cool. And then we can just get on straight away to painting some colours on these bad boys, yeah? Some more comments going on. Jeff says, going to need a bigger games table. Yeah, I play on a 4x4. And we played some large games with more tanks on there. And we played with 15 tanks in one game. That took all evening. That was like that was a 5-hour game. To be fair, it could have ended in half an hour, but it does depend on, you know, tactics, skill, and luck. But yeah, any more than that, it's going to be very lengthy, and it's going to be bunched up on the table. But you can still have, like, you know, 10 people with one tank each, and that's still less. There were 3 or 4 of us playing, and we shared forces. So there was a couple of us playing on our ally side, and there was a couple of us playing on the Axis side. We just happened to have multiple tanks. So painting these Hornissa, again, pardon me for mispronunciation if I am doing so, is obviously the interior. They're a small model, and I've said it so many times in the past, it's just no point going crazy with the detail on a 15mm tank. You can, of course, but chances are, because they're 15mm, you've got a lot of them, so you're going to need to, you know, save some time, because you're probably going to need to get them all done. But also, those details are just lost, and it's so fiddly and so finicky. I could have left all of the crew and the gun out and painted them all eventually, put them all in, but I would have had a breakdown. No one really cares that much when we're playing. It's just nice to have them looking decent, you know? So I'm just going to do a good covering on the inside, paint some obvious details, trying to make the uniforms look a little bit standy-outy. I think that the German tank crews were black despite the colour of the tank. So that would be a nice, easy approach to do there. Yeah, and just make it maybe look a little bit grottier by doing heavier washes on the inside, because it would be, right? It's an open-topped vehicle. Trying to make sure that I come in at multiple angles, especially with there being an interior. There is a cat hair on this one. What would one of my shows be without a cat hair? Leslie says, can you feel it in your fingers? Can you feel it in your toes? Yeah, I can. Who was it who sang that? Yeah, wet. What was his name? Marty Pello. What's happened to him nowadays? Maybe he's watching Easy 8. Hi, Marty. A little bit on the back there. There we go. I can see there's quite a bit of liquidy build up on the crew there and on the gun, so just going to make sure that dries before it builds up and loses all the detail. Now, when you're painting smaller vehicles or smaller models, you should go lighter. So if you're trying to paint it like historically accurate, then you should try to paint them slightly lighter. The smaller it goes, it actually affects the way, or so an optical illusion, I think, where it affects how the colour appears, because I suppose there's so much detail going into a smaller thing. So I've got some paints in the moment, which I'll pull out in just a second, from AK Interactive, and they are designed by specialists, experts if you will, who understand colour theory and are experts in historical colours and things, that they have found the right percentage in what's the term, luminosity, I think, or brightness, or changing the brightness of the colour for the scale of, so coming down from the actual scale of the real things down to like 35 or 1/35th scale, and models are around that size. So yeah, there's a lot of science has gone into it, and that seems like a very nerdy thing, which I suppose there are people out there who are really into historical accurateness. I like to try and be accurate when I'm painting my models, but I'm not an expert, so I don't really mind if they don't look 100%, but I do try to get them as close to as I possibly can. Just getting a bit of kitchen towel here, just so that I can clean my brush, because it's been in the water there. Here we go. Don't want to keep on using my fingers all evening. Right. So I need just a little bit more primer, because I've got one more Hornicer to do. That one Hornicer took quite a bit, and he's still not totally primed on the interior. So I'm not going to put in as much as I did a minute ago. I'm going to put in 1 drop of thinner, because I was putting in 2 drops a minute ago. And I feel that I should have half the amount. Here we go. Lovely. So, excuse me, again, a bit of dusting. Just a slight amount. There's another cat hair in exactly the same place as there was on the other one. I found it. There's one on the inside as well. Do you know what? It could be a part of their legacy. In you go. Trying not to be a perfectionist. No, it's bothering me. I can't have that. It's too obvious. Let's just get in there and pull that bad boy out. There we go. Those are really good tweezers I bought. They're the Tamiya micro tweezer things, and they're just better than the old ones I've got. They're they're really good. Just give them a bit of air. It's gone a bit heavy this time for that first coat, but whatever. I'm just thankful for weathering, says Rob. Yeah, even the simplest of weathering techniques, like with washes from Citadel, they hide a multitude of sins, don't they? Don't they? Brilliant. Staff says, Danny, do you have any small 1mm magnets? Trying to magnetise the props on my Luftwaffe. I actually might do, but I won't be able to find them right now. They're buried somewhere. I'll have a good route through all my stuff for you, see what I can find, and I'll get them out to you. Alright. Leslie says, I reckon your tanks will look killer, pretty much like all of your work, Dan. It'd be really cool to see how it looks when it's finished. And gotta love cats and their ability to get their fur everywhere. Thanks very much. Really appreciate that. That's very kind. How much do you want for your kind words? £5? Thanks, man. That's really kind of you. Yeah, cats, man. They're banned from coming in the studio because I can't trust them, especially the girl cat. I've got a brother and sister. They, she especially, just like to eat things that they shouldn't. So yeah. sometimes of an evening, if it's just me in the house, like this evening, although on a show I'm not going to let them in here unsupervised. If it's just me in the house, I'm doing a little bit of painting one evening, I will let them in, and I can monitor them then. And I've got like a little chair, like a little camping chair, they can go to sleep and sit in there, but otherwise they jump on the counter, they eat models, run away with them. Nothing, my kindness is free, buddy. Thanks, pal, that's very nice of you. I could do with a little like freehand turntable, couldn't I, for painting my models? I've got like a little display turntable, battery powered one, mirror on the top, you know, but it'd be nice to have like a little wooden one that I can just kind of get paint all over and stuff. Look at it, there's cat hair everywhere in this thing. There's one there, there's one on the end of my tweezers because I've pulled it off already. I think they've been in this tank. Get off. To be fair, this tank was downstairs where they run around. Oh my god, there's like a whole cat in there. It's on the loader. Get off the loader. I'll have that one. Thank you so much. There we go. Wonderful. Jeff says we'll have a look tomorrow. Dan might have some too. Cool. And of course a cat would die of shame if it knew it was being referred to as typical, because they all think they're special. Yeah, mine do. I don't have a cat flap in my house, so I leave my kitchen window open. My kitchen is on the first floor, but the back of my house has a garden that's really high, and they can go on the roof and then jump off into like a nearby park. And they've been indoors all day because me and my partner have been out for the entire day, which is a bit of a shame for them. So I open up the window. I was like, you can go out and just play outside while I'm on the show. Give them some food. I went downstairs earlier on, and they're both hiding downstairs indoors with my window open, just blowing in cold air. So right, shut that. I love them to bits, but they test my patience. Right, just gonna give that on a bit of cold air before I pick it up. That'll be a sensible thing to do, wouldn't it? I'm just gonna move them to the side, and then I'm gonna go back over them again, which is the last little bit that's in my hopper, and hopefully that'll give them a nice coating. Now it's taken about half an hour just to do that, so it's a bit of a lengthy prep, but it is absolutely worth it. Right, you go there. Back to this one. Obviously I've got to do the undersides of them as well. Do you know what? I'm going to do that now. I'm going to turn my paper over because that's a really rough surface there. This is a bit bright on this side. Sorry about that. I'm going to move my light away a little. I was painting on one side. So, yeah, the reason I'm doing that is I don't want to use the rough surface to pull all the paint off. I didn't think about this a minute ago. I should have probably put a bit more primer in the airbrush. Just give them a bit of cold air there. What I'll do is I'll just start on the Churchills for now. So I'll leave the Hornetta over to one side so that they can dry, and I'll prime them a bit later on so that I can crack on and do some cool colours on tonight's show rather than just playing around with primer. Boring. Yeah, thought so. Go. Oh, need to knock that over. It's another cat hair right there. Oh my goodness. Just a bit of air there to let them dry down. This is the boring bit, isn't it? Leslie says, yeah, Mike, they sure do. Still, cats are awesome. Can try the patience of any human being. but they're still little lovable fur babies. They absolutely are. Mine are just young and excitable. They're only 2. Brother and sister. And the boy cat, Dax, he's in the Easy 8 colours, black and white. He's a fan. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have a cup of tea. Crikey. Parched. Cheers. That's a pretty cold cup of tea right now. There's a lot of mould lines on the tracks on these. They've done a pretty good job of like hiding them in the detail of those tank tracks. And I did want to try and remove as much as I can, but they're really small, they're really fiddly, and frankly I can hide it. Just like I think was it Rob said a minute ago about the weathering, is that you can just, especially with darker colours, a bit grottier, you can really hide it. Small miniature, I didn't really want to have to worry about it. Of course, that mould line did appear on the top of that part of the model, so I did spend some time filing that down. It's a part of the white metal, so file was appropriate, so it was across the top here. It's one of the things that white metal has, is, you know, difficult to remove features. That's why I don't like it so much. Sweet Dan, my folks have a new kitten, making their cat count to 7. Making their cats count to 7. They have 7 cats. That's ridiculous. My goodness. I used to have 1 cat, and if you remember some episodes ago, she passed away. It was very sad. It was almost a year ago. She was my best friend, and even though she was a saint, it was hard enough looking after her. And then some time passed, and me and my partner, we missed the presence of having cats in the house because they bring a lot of company. I don't know if I was ready for it, but I felt like maybe I should do. So we went and looked at some cats from a shelter, and my partner instantly fell in love with the girl cat. And then the boy cat came out of his shell. I was like, right, we'll just take the one. And then, when we got home, I was like, nah, we can't separate them. Let's take both of them. And now we've got 2, and it's triple the effort than having 1. It really is. But they are wonderful. I'd have all of the cats, I would, but you know that's not fair on them and would be very expensive. But yeah, I love cats. I love all animals, but cats, they're cool. They got sass, you know. Most of them adopted my folks. yeah, that is the cat way, isn't it? Pets are part of the family. Yeah, they are. I don't have kids. Don't really want them. I work with kids. That's enough interaction with kids for me. Cats are the stand-in for that role in my life. I could barely look after myself, yet alone having kids of my own. Right, I think I'm at that point where I'm done with priming. I've got the last little bit to get out of the airbrush here, so I'm just going to dry this one down, and I'm just going to kind of use the last bit up on the tops of them, just because. Why not? Put them down like that. A little bit of metal showing through there already. This one. I do hope that paper isn't too glary on your screens. It's one of the reasons why I don't have like a constant background. I always use the green map. My setup isn't very professional. I'm not a professional. I'd love to be that good, but I don't have all the cool lights, cameras and all that sort of stuff. I am looking to build up to it eventually. Humble show, humble tech. Excuse me. Right, I'm just going to put a little bit of water through the airbrush to clean it out. Loosen off any of the residue of primer on the inside. I'm just going to put my little needle protector back on there. There we go, while I just put them into my little purge tank. So just here got a purge tank, and I just pop the end in there, and then I just pull the trigger. Gets rid of all of the excess rubbish and water, and then any fumes kind of come out this vent on the top. Right onto my very expensive camera. Touch wood, the camera's working well today, isn't it? Sorry, camera, airbrush. Oh, that was a throwback to when my cameras never worked. I spent £1,000 roughly on upgrading my entire PC just to make my cameras work. I don't regret it at all, I don't regret it. I'm trying to run as good a show as I possibly can here. Right, I'm going to put a little bit of... Where's my little pot with my cleaner in? Ah, there it is. I have no clean. Oh no, I have a little bit of cleaner in there. I have a little pot with 50/50 cleaner water in there, because cleaner's really expensive. If you just constantly used it neat, it would eat up your wallet pretty quickly. So it's always good to water it down and have a 50/50 mix. I've got a little bit of water, a little bit of 50/50 mix, and I've got a little bit of neat cleaner just on the side ready to go. But the cleaner is so efficient, you can water it right down. Okay, cool. That's doing well. Got a little bit of residue bit up on the inside. If I bring my camera in there, the residue on the inside of the hopper. I always like to remove that. So I've got my little cotton bud. You can see the skin that it pulls off in here. If I didn't pull this off, it would go inside the airbrush. In fact, it's forming quite a skin in there now. I'm going to take the whole hopper off. It would go inside the airbrush, and it would be an instant clog where I'd have to strip the whole thing down. So I'm just going to remove that. Right, my models. I'm working well today, aren't I? Here we go. Lumpy. And I've also got some airbrush brushes. So I'm just going to give them a bit of a scrub down on the inside. Primer is designed to do this. It is designed to build up a bit of a skin. So, yeah. Like to get rid of it. Lovely. So now we're kind of looking at the colours, right? I like AK Interactive. I think they're an absolutely phenomenal brand of paint, and I've got several sets. I've got German Panzer Grey, which I use rarely because as the war really took off, they kind of went away from the Panzer Grey. That was an early colour. They actually went into the yellow colour, so this is the Dunkelgelb colour. I think this is the same colour that they use in the African campaign. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest with you. I think that they used their yellow colour and then they did camouflage patterns over the top for fighting in the European theatre. But this has got 6 shades of dark yellow or Dunkelgelb, and it goes right down to almost brown colours and up to almost like a creamy sort of colour. The idea is that you base it around the central colours and then you work down to shadows and you work up to highlights, and that is perfect for 35mm size models and above. These are far from it. These are 1/100 scale, so they are much smaller. So I tend to work around the lighter colours and ignore the darker ones. If you're doing all that work on these little models, it takes for ages and it's kind of lost. I have done a couple of them like it. They did look really good, but I could have probably done a whole army in the time it took me just to do 1 or 2. So I'm just going to start with like a base colour, and then I'll do a little bit of highlight with the base, and I might do like a little bit left over. I might use a dark one to do the undersides. It's a good base to start with on tracks and things, but I'm not going to do this colour on these because these aren't German. I have olive drab, a beautiful set colour in exactly the same fashion. I love olive drab, it's gorgeous. I've also got the German camouflage set, so this is the 3 colours. These are modulation sets, so it's all about the different shades of it. I've got the 2 red colours, I've got the 2 green colours. Oh no, so it's 3 green colours and 3 red colours. That's for me. I think this was a little bit out of my league, really. I've tried using all of these colours on my Panther and it didn't look as good as I wanted it to. Anyway, What I do have for British colours, I couldn't find a modulation set for the British colours, so I went to Ammo, which is a very, very similar paint brand if you want my opinion. Ammo do a smart set. It's got a couple of different colours in here, and you can do sort of a modulation thing with them if you like. I think it was this colour here or this colour here that I used on my British ones. They've got an olive drab in there as well, and the colours are ever so slightly different from the American colours. If you were to kind of look at them separately, you might think, oh, you've got the darker green colours in the American army, and you've got the dark green colours in the British army. Actually, the American stuff, or that side of the ocean was more of an olive sort of nature, and in the British side it was more like darker forest greens or bottle greens and things like that. That's my opinion on it. There's so many variations, from paint manufacturers to factories to the date that they were being used, certain squadrons, different theatres of war, that actually I think that the colours that you use on a camouflage can be this whole topic that would take up your entire life. Actually, it's nice just to get some colours on some models and go, that's nice. So what I'm going to do is I can't even remember which one it was I used on my Fireflies, so I'm just going to spray some colours on them and see if it's the right ones. So I'm going to give them a good old shake and see what sort of colours that come up. This is my khaki green. That's not the colour I want. So I'm going to go to olive drab. I think this is the American one, but this might be the British olive drab. So I think this might be the one that I'm looking for. I'm going to give it a good old shake. These have got little agitated balls inside. Can you hear that? They're really good for mixing. That's a nice colour. British brown. I'm not looking for a brown. Service drab. British service drab. Let's give that a shake as well and see what colour that is. And I'm just going to put a little drop on the page here and see what they come out like. Loads of comments going in. Kids are easy, they mostly bounce here, Stafford. Waiting for the camera to fall now. No, the cameras are fine. Staff's got to go. Bye, Staff. Cheers then. Before you bounce them. I dropped Dan on his head when he was little, can you tell? I got a bump on my skull. Sticks out. Yeah. Service drab looks a bit browny to me. It is a brownier colour. Okay, I'm going to go with the olive drab here because it says it's the British service drab, which is a different olive drab than the American one. When I put my two models side by side, you can tell. So I'm going to stick this one on the Easy H Wazomatic because it needs a really good shake. And I will compare this beside my Firefly later on and be like, oh, this is a different colour, and then I'll go back and repaint them. I'm just really keen to get some paint on these bad boys because that will look really mean. It's a bit wet on there, so I need to make sure that that gets a good coating. Or good coating of air is kind of what I meant. I'm talking so much now I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I'll get rid of Wazomatic, shall I? Excited it's a Friday, man. Right, I'm going to put this one to dry a minute over here. And do you know what I might do? I might give them a bit of a blast with the hairdryer. Ah, who cares? Famous last words there. I'm going to put in about 5 or 6 or so drops in there. I'm not going to worry about putting any thinner in for the moment. Just want to see how it kind of works. And exactly the same way that I did the primer, just a light dusting. To the point where you can barely see it. This is a very clay smelling paint. It's very bizarre to explain. It smells like pure clay and it's very, very strong smell. I don't know what that is, if it's a base of the paint. It smells lovely. It's just this ammo MIG version. This is looking much lighter than my Firefly, so I'm starting to wonder if this is the wrong paint, but it might just be that it's got a lot of white underneath it, and you know, the brightness is being sort of, you know, exacerbated. Whereas it's a little bit darker on the back there, actually looks a bit more consistent. In the break in a bit, I'll get out the Firefly so that I can compare it side by side. Nice colour though. Green, such a nice colour to work with. Very easy to get very good results very quickly. If I do have to go over with another colour, this green will be an excellent base to work on, right? I think I've gone through that very quickly. I have used up all the paint in there, so I'm just going to give him a bit of a cool breeze. Hopefully let that set. I'm going to put a bit of water in the airbrush because we're going to go for a break in a second and I don't want anything to be drying in there. So that's nice. Okay, just going to purge that brush. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get out all the paints from that set, and I'm just going to put a little dot on the white just to see what colours they come up with. There's Rob saying, thanks for a good evening all. I'm off but happy with my progress this evening. Almost finished 5 more nomads. Good luck with the tanks, terrain and other projects. Be back here soon. See you later, Rob. Thanks for coming along. Take care. Have a lovely evening and a weekend. See you next week. Cheers now. Cool, right, let's pop the airbrush over there for a second. Let's prepare for an intermission. Yum, 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 tea. Right, all the other paints, let's give them a little test. I've got... We kind of know what colour that looks like, don't we? Gonna give this a good shake. Stick him on the Wasmatic a minute. This is the service drab, which I think is a brownie colour, yeah? Hopefully this shows up alright on the screen. Yeah, that's like a sandy khaki brown colour. Let's go to British brown. Maybe it comes out as a green, who knows? Oh, that's a very dark brown. That's a really nice colour actually. Still needs a lot of mixing though. The agitator ball's all stuck inside. There's the agitator ball. Cool, that had been sat there for a long time, that one had been. Give him another blast on the Wasmatic. There we go. Let's see what colour this one is. It's come out like a grey. I think that's probably because it's not mixed. That can't be mixed. Alright, I'll come back to that one then. And now I've got British or khaki green. These might just need a good 10 minutes on the Wasmatic. Agitator ball stuck in there as well. It must be because they got like a really thick base to them, that clay smell perhaps. Interesting, isn't it? They're really quality paints though, really, really good. Very, very watery, because it's probably not mixed in right. And that one's like a very khaki colour, as you'd expect, because it says khaki green on it. So it must be, unless this one here, which isn't mixing well, that must be the right green, and it just looks a bit brighter under the camera. Cool. Anyway, I'm gonna pop off for 10 minutes. I'm gonna go check on my cats, maybe warm my tea up or make a fresh one, and I'm gonna get some other bits and pieces out to talk about, show you, and play with on the show. In the meantime, if you haven't already, you should definitely go and change your paint water. Do it. welcome back. I spent the entire intermission sorting out paints, pulling out tanks, and getting some other bits and pieces out, so I'm still drinking a cold cup of tea. Hope you had a good break. Hope you're having a good evening. I'd love to see more pictures of what it is you're doing. I've just seen a picture on the Easy8 Facebook page. Mike has put up a picture of his scratch-built fantasy tavern. It's bags and boxes of individual bricks, and he's put probably not the exciting picture of the scratch-built fantasy tavern you were hoping for. Stage 1. It's still very exciting though, isn't it? It looks very cool. Individual bricks, man. Brave. Cool. Really excited to see how that progresses. Well done. Cool. Just getting some more messages coming through there. I'm going to have to look at those at the end of the show. Got a show to do. So what I've done is I've been and pulled out all my different tanks. I've got some other tanks that still need painting. That's actually more than I remember it being. I pulled out my other British tanks that I've already painted. And this is the right colour that I'm using. It's just a little bit brighter. It's only had one coat, maybe two. The primer is still showing through, so it's still brighter. Also, I've done a little bit of weathering. So like a little bit of weathering, a little bit of washing on one of the tanks, which has dulled it right down. Oh, I've got the hiccups. I'm so excited. So that's why it looks a little bit different. I'm going to take you over to the workbench so you can see that, but before we do, if you're new or just tuning in, don't forget to share the name of Easy8 and subscribe to the show. Push the little button, do it now. Such a little gesture on your part makes such a massive impact on this end over here, and I really appreciate every single effort that's been made to increase the community so far. Thank you so much. Welcome if you're new. I hope that you find even just the tiniest little bit of inspiration or motivation to paint your models. That's what the show is all about. It's getting through your plastic grey hordes, or metal, as tonight has shown. I've got loads of everything. Anyway, to the workbench. Cool, so here's my Churchill over here. Lights bleaching everything out. Really sorry about that. I'm currently working with the British 1944 to 45 olive drab. This is from Ammo MiG, and it's got a little agitated ball in there, and it's flowing quite well. I managed to get all the other paints out. They are a bit bleached out on the lights here, but this is definitely the right colour to be working with. So, how do I know it's the right colour? Well, I've got a firefly here that I've painted in the British colours, and it does look a lot darker. Can you see the difference there? That is just because it's got like a slight filter made by having a wash over it to get all the pin lining in there, etc. I think if I remember right, this was done using enamels in the way that I would do like a larger build, like a 1/35th. Completely unnecessary. I've done just wonderful looking models in this scale using a quick wash acrylic citadel stuff, you know, and it came out just as well, and it still applies a little bit of a filter at the same time. But you can see that the colours do look different. If I bring in my Matilda, it was painted in the same colour, but it's got no filter on it, it's got no wash in it whatsoever, but you can still see that the same colour there is still darker. It's brighter because it's had just one coat on it, and the primer is still showing through. I have dusted them down as well, so that's not showing anything. If I compare the American olive drab, it's different still. That does have washes over it. On the camera on my screen it looks quite dull, but it's quite a bright colour. It's very different than this colour. They are about the same sort of luminosity or brightness as if you like, but they are very different colours, and this will dull down to this or nearby at the time. This firefly is an incorrect firefly, however. There is one thing missing physically from this firefly. If I hold it up here, I wonder if there are any connoisseurs out there that can tell me the one thing that's missing that you would instantly spot that it's a firefly. Obviously it's got this huge cannon that sticks off the front. What is it that's missing on this tank that I forgot to put on it that tells you that it's a firefly? Obviously there's a bit of a delay, so I'll come back to that in a second. I do have a couple of other fireflies here. I've got this firefly with a little hatch open. It's got a different front on this one. Oh, has it? No, it hasn't. It has got the same front on it. So yeah, that one's got to be painted as well. I've got another firefly here made by a different manufacturer, I think. But yeah, just a different plastic colour. Love fireflies, they're absolutely excellent. Slow in the games that I play, but they pack a hell of a punch. Definitely what you want to be using to facing off the German armour. This Sherman here is a 76mm, slightly longer gun. This is the original Sherman, the Sherman 75, which has got a shorter, stubbier gun. Much better for taking out troops, troop emplacements, bunkers and things like that. This is more of an anti-armour effect. Yeah. Darren's come to join us. Hi Darren, thanks for coming along. Nice to see you again. I haven't seen you for a little while. I hope you're doing well. And yes, we are doing tanks this evening. Leslie says, for such tiny miniatures, they do look awesome. They are absolutely brilliant. This one is a little bit bigger, longer, chunkier thing. And then, of course, you do get some of the German. Unfortunately, the boxes over there. I do have things like the Tiger, the Tiger 2, the Hunting Tiger. I even have the Mouse, which wasn't used, but I do have one, and it is enormous. Mike says, is the Firefly missing the larger box on the back of the turret? Yes, it is. So you can see here that I've got this tiny little bit poking off the back here, but if I get this Firefly in, you can see the massive extension to the back of the turret. That is because the 17-pounder, yeah, you're just saying the same thing, the 17-pounder is basically an anti-aircraft cannon mounted sideways inside the turret so that the crew have room to move around. It was an afterthought response to the ever-changing German armour to punch through things like the Tiger. I think it was a direct response to the Tiger program, but it's such a big piece of machinery at the end. The receiver, is that the receiver? The bit where they load the shells in, that to give the crew space to move around in, they had to turn it sideways, but it also poked out the back of the turret, so they cut a hole with an oxyacetylene torch, I assume, massive hole in the back, stick the gun through it, and then bolt armor around it in a giant box. Now, yes, the breach, that's the word I was looking for. Thanks, Mike. It was to make room for the breach, wasn't it? Yeah. As far as I understand, to actually get in, that the crew had to duck down underneath it and come up the other side. So then they had to, if you have a little look on the top of the turret here, to build a second hatch on the top. Do you see it just poking off the side there? So that people could get out of it. If I come over to this one here, this is a later turret, they actually started building them in as a part of their standard thing. So go back to the earlier Sherman, just the one hatch on there. Crazy stuff. I would not have liked to have been one of the people that were stuck in one of those. I know that we all play games with these tanks and we have fun pretending that it was there's just it's a game, but these are based on real things, and that's a scarier, darker side. Perhaps a story that we'll unpack off the camera, maybe over on Discord, but not tonight because I've got to go pick up my partner, remember. Cool. I'm gonna load up the airbrush with more of this colour, and I'm gonna stick a little drop of thinner in it this time just to see the difference it makes. It was flowing lovely, but it did have a little bit of spatter in there, like it was a little bit thick. I could of course just turn up the pressure on the airbrush, but this is an easier thing to do. I'm just mixing it just off camera there, just mixing the little paintbrush in there. Just a crappy old paintbrush that its only use in life now is to mix things, but it does a very good job of this. There we go. See? Crappy old paintbrush. There. Right. Flowing good, flowing good. Okay, so also during the break I hit this with the hairdryer. Didn't hit it with the hairdryer, but I made a pass over it with the hairdryer just to help dry the paint that's on there. It's such a lovely smell, this paint. I can see now that the colour where it's building up is starting to get really dark. I do like to use modulation colours wherever possible, because I do like to make the back ends of the tank much darker using the shadow effects, and then I also like to bring highlights just on the front of them. Even on my smaller builds, I just don't spend ages trying to do it like I would do with a 1/35 or just even a larger build. I probably would even do it like 28mm, but I don't have a modulation set with this particular colour anyway, so I'm not entirely sure how I do it. Probably mix a little bit of dark brown, just a touch into the hopper. That might do it. Now the Churchill has, if my lights, looks like my lights are now kind of leveled out, they're not bleaching everything out, but they have this big bit in the front which for a tank is just a stupid design, because everything that's just going to hit it face on is just going to get snagged into the front. But it's important to make sure that I get the airbrush in there. Oh, went a bit heavy there. There's just loads of space where I could potentially miss. Knocking everything over here, spinning everything around. I should put my finger in paint that I've forgotten about on the side. So I'm going to dip my finger in my paint water and wipe my fingers off with some tissue. And what I'll do with my mixing brush is I'll wipe that paint around. Easy 8 stupid club. What a complete buffoon. Jeff says it was quite an eye-opener at Bovington to see how tight it was inside some tanks. Not for me. Yeah, they've even was it the Centurion? Is it? I'm sure it was the Centurion that they've literally cut in half. And a very good job of it they've done as well. So you literally walk on a gantry through the tank. So you've got like the left-hand side on one side, the right-hand side on the other, and then you've got mannequins inside to show you what it was like being inside them. And I know that every tank would be different, but that is a claustrophobic nightmare in that tank. I'm sure it was the Centurion. Yeah, like I say, not for me, man. The German tanks, the earlier German tanks, like the Panzer III, Panzer IV, actually had quite a bit of space inside them. So, yeah, interesting, right? Not massive amounts of space, but enough to be more comfortable. That colour's really coming out nice, rich and bold now. That's really good. I'm just going to hit him with some air, just to help. Stop being so tacky to touch. I still have to get the front side a bit more, and all the undersides, and all the undercrofts. That's a word I've just made up, I think. But I want to make sure that he dries properly first. So what I'm going to do is give him a bit of blast with the cold air like that. Just enough to pick him up gently and move him off to one side. Let him dry a little bit, and then I'll come back with the hair dryer. Okay, so now it's this one here. Remember, just a light dusting to start with. So you can barely see that paint. I'm probably going a bit too heavy for it, but 15mm tanks, right? And now just lots of air. Get that dry. Yeah, Jeff's saying the Centurion. Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, the cross section. Mike says, don't forget, Jeffrey, that was not only was it cramped, it was noisy, smelly, and you got thrown around all the time. Yeah, and you lived in it. It was your home on tracks, you know. Adrian says all British tanks are different except for the one thing: they all have a kettle for a brew on the go. True. Certainly nowadays, anyway. Like the Challenger 2, they have a boiler in them, so you can brew up. Hello. Right, now I've done that, I can comfortably go over with a proper coating. Dave Lester's joined us. Evening. Tanks look good. Hi Dave, thanks for coming along, mate. How are you doing? You alright? Mike says they used to boil the tea, sugar and condensed milk all in one. I can feel an EC8 experiment coming on. We've done one of those a little while ago. Do you know what? I'm going to do one, and I'm going to challenge John Takax as well. Hi John, I haven't seen you for such a long time. I hope you're doing well. I know you watch this show back on replay a lot. So if you're watching this one, howdy do. I hope you're doing well. I'm going to get in contact with you directly, John, because for those of you that don't know who John is, he has his own YouTube channel, and we just became connected because we spotted each other, and he's just an all-round swell dude. He has his own channel called Out of This World Models and Minis, and it's just down there in the description of this video, along with loads of other links to really cool people and places. John's got his own YouTube channel where he just paints whatever he wants because he wants to and he likes to, and he's a big advocate of British lifestyle and stuff, and he likes being over here in England, so much so that I think he named his daughter after London. Anyway, a little while ago I said, have you ever tried Marmite? And he says, no, I've never tried Marmite. And he says it's a shame because he's been over here loads, and being an Anglophile, he felt that he should give it a try. especially as he's in the catering industry. So I said that I would absolutely love for you to try it on a video and upload it to the internet. So he did, and you know, I didn't expect to be talking about it this evening. So I'll put a link in the comment section a little bit later when I'm allowed to. I'm not allowed to put comments on for at least 24 hours, so that you can go and see his video and obviously go and see all of his other stuff. He makes cool videos. You should go and see him. Give him some love. So John, what I do, sir, I challenge you to making a cup of tea with the sugar and condensed milk and the tea all in one bag, and I'll see if I can do the same, and we'll compare notes maybe. Yeah, we should do that. And to anybody else, feel free to upload videos onto the Facebook platform, onto Discord, on the Easy 8 after party. Yeah, I just take pictures, take videos, whatever. I want to see it. I want to get your opinion. And then on the next Easy 8 outing, we can all have a bag of tea. It sounds interesting. Darren says, is that the fixed turret Churchill? It is indeed, sir. It is the casemate with the 3-inch gun. I forgot what it was at the beginning of the show. It's a 3-inch gun, which is better than the 6-pounder, but not as good as the 17-pounder. I picked them up when we went out on an Easy 8 outing. Me and loads of the guys from the community went out down to Paul's, which is the Plymouth Association of Wargamers show, a few weeks back, and I picked up a box of them, just 2 of them. Because I couldn't have normal Churchills, could I? The Churchills on the actual box, they've got a much different colour scheme than this. They've got like a much lighter scheme with some darker swirl camouflage patterns on them. But I like my force at the moment to be just the standard bog green, bog standard green, because it's easy, frankly, and it's what I saw at Bovington, so it was in my head. Right, again, I'm just going to pick him up and put him there. I'm just going to put my airbrush down for a second, and I'm going to go back to the first one. Here he is. Just going to scoot this guy up a little bit out of the way. Try not to take the paint off. This is the problem with the white metal, is it's really easy to knock the paint off onto your fingertips. Darren's saying they have one at Bovington. Yeah, they do. That one's the crocodile, so it's the flamethrower version. Grim that, innit? Huh? 17-pounder, even bigger burger. Yeah, yes. Man, I tell you, like, the Firefly is an amazing tank. It's got this huge crazy anti-aircraft cannon stuck inside it. The shells are enormous. So the standard Sherman has a shell size at 75mm. That's across. That's the diameter of the back end of the shell, and it's about this long. Okay, the 76mm is only a millimeter larger. So it takes a different cannon to fire it, because obviously a millimeter is still a millimeter difference. But the shell is, I'm not even is like a magnum round. It's huge. So it's got so much more force to come out with, because it's longer, right? So it's got more gunpowder essentially, or more explosive in it to send that shell out. Different type of head, I think, designed for taking out armor. So the Firefly uses a totally different type of ammo, and it's a 17-pounder. I think that the diameter is close to 76. I'm just kind of going off my memory there. It's a bit rubbish, but the shell is so big I couldn't use my hands inside the frame, but it would stand on the floor and come up to here. It's so huge that the ammo, the capacity that they take was ridiculously. It was like a third of the actual normal Shermans. Incredible thing. It's just huge. So yeah, 17-pounder, a much bigger burger. Mike says, painting something within 2 weeks of buying it, Danny. I thought you had to let things season in the pile of potential for at least 6 months. Yeah, do you know what? Let's scrap this. Let's put this on the back burner for now, shall we? You're absolutely right. What am I thinking? Right, I'm just going to pick this little devil up. I'm going to pop him on my hand here. I'm going to mute my microphone a minute to use the hairdryer. Bear with me. And back in the room. Okay, cool. So, looks a bit shiny, a little bit tacky, but I think that's just the paint. So what I'm going to do now, very carefully, turn them upside down, and now I can see all the undercrofts, all the overhangs. You can see the top parts of the tracks here, underneath, all needs painting under there, and yeah, just all those overhangy bits. I'm going to very gently pop him on the top like this to try and reduce the amount that he gets knocked around. Taking any paint off of him, a bit of a flow test on the airbrush, paint still flowing free. Just like I did earlier, I'm just going to give him one quick coat and then I'm just going to blast some cold air over him. I know earlier on I did a much thinner coat to start with, that's the underside, and I want to get some more done on him. Jeff says, ooh, 17 pounds was 76.2 millimeters. That's crazy, just 0.2 of a millimeter larger on the diameter, but an absolutely huge shell. In fact, the first time that EZ8 went to the Bovington Museum was actually a model show, and I went there and was showing loads of people really cool stuff, but the model stalls for all the traders, as cool as it was to see them, were in the way of a lot of the stuff, so you couldn't see the ammo for the Firefly which is there. So we went back again on a separate day. Actually happened to be Tiger Day. That's another story we'll get to later, because I know that Stafford's returned. Hi Staff, and he's going to want to talk about it. Yeah, we went back there just to go and see that, just to see the size of the shell. It's the size of my leg, and it's huge. Right, some more paint in the hopper, and it seemed to be flowing very well with the thinner, so I'm going to put another drop of that in there. Staff says he needs the reinforcements against the King Tiger. Tiger King? That was a TV program. Nah, you just gotta wait for them to break down or run out of fuel. Yes you do, but they don't do that in the game. Or Stafford's does anyway. His dice roll in's so unlucky, it might as well be that it's broken down. Mixing up the paint again in the airbrush there. Cool, right. Flow test. It's going well. Cool. I don't know how I'm going to do their shading on these. What I mean by shading, the washing. Dave on a quiet day. We'll come into it, mate. We'll come into it, alright? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Agrax Earthshade on them. Because I think with my original Firefly, I used an enamel paint, which is like a dark brown. I don't want to use the enamel paints on these tanks because it's just too much effort for such a small model. But the Agrax Earthshade, I think, is a close resemblance to that sort of effect. I'll do like a gentle sludge wash to give it a bit of a filter, and then I'm going to paint the recesses and the pin lines and things like that on it with that colour, and I think that should give me a really nice colour. With my German stuff, when I started realising that acrylic washes were just as good, I started using Citadel's Seraphim Sepia, which I've been using on my Tyranids. It's a lovely colour, I use it a lot. It's a bit warmer, it's lighter, and it works for that Dunkelgelb colour. So the last time we went to the Tank Museum was because Dave and Stafford and some of the guys with the EZ8 community wanted to go back. So off we went. I organised another trip out, annual tickets. They had run out, so I bought us all new ones. And I arranged it on a very specific day, on a day that was quiet, so we could go around and enjoy ourselves. When we got down there, as we started approaching, it got very busy on the roads, which is quite unusual for the area. And I was like, hello, this is a bit interesting. I've put a lot of effort into organising this trip. And as we got closer, there's a big banner in the middle of the street saying Tiger Day. Tiger Day is such an event. They only run it twice a year. They do a tank fest every now and then, like every couple of months where they get all the tanks out that they can, drive around in the field, do a big display on them. Tiger Day is like that, but they bring the tiger out, the infamous and famous Tiger 131 that was used in the film Fury. It's beautiful, but it's so popular, everybody across the world comes to see it because it's only in operation twice a year. And I was like, no, it's a separate event. You can't even use your annual tickets on it. That was right. The annual tickets hadn't run out. I had to buy new tickets at the door for it. But because people who've already bought tickets get priority to go in, you might not be able to go in. Fortunately, I was able to buy tickets. It cost me £100, and off we went. In we go. It took me the entire day to realise, and I only realised by spotting someone's hoodie with the dates for Tiger Day on it, that Tiger Day was actually supposed to be a couple of weeks later, or earlier, because of the Queen's funeral. May she rest in peace. They had postponed some dates, and it all got pushed forwards, and I just wasn't informed. So yes, on a day that we thought was supposed to be a quiet day, turned out to be one of the 2 busiest days at that museum of the year. But we had a wonderful day nonetheless, and we got to be right beside the tiger when they started her up. And that was a day, man. That was a hell of a day. But because we'd already seen a lot of the tanks in motion, when we went out, we watched the tiger, some of our favourite tanks, in operation in the arena. We went back into the museum when it was quieter and got a good look around. It's one of those places that, even though I've been there several times now, every time I go I find something interesting to kind of look at and talk about and focus on, and it's almost like an art museum for me now, in the fact that I go there and I stand in front of one thing and take it in for some time. The first time there's so much to see, you just kind of run around and you're like a crazy idiot. It is like that, man. So I'm just literally layering up this coat now, and just trying to dry it as I go with, blasts of air. I'm just making sure that I get in all the recesses, especially on these tracks because they're white metal. And every now and again I just spot a little area that I've missed or hasn't taken the paint so well. That's a really tricky area to see there, come on. And of course, this year we are going to, and the crowd is getting bigger as well, we're going to Salute 50 for the 50th anniversary of the largest games convention or show in Europe. It's only on for one day this year, which is the Saturday. It'll be April the 22nd, I believe. Me and some of the people from the AZ community going up to spend the Friday night over in London. And then we're moving over on the Saturday morning over to the XL Centre in London City to go spend the day there, then to come home on the same day. Jeff says, Dave, you need an SU-152. I'm looking. It's a 152, man, that's you don't need anything that big, honestly. He's got the SU-80 and the SU-100 already. They're big and bad enough. So yeah, you can come along and be a part of the EZ8 community if you want to. It's going to be a hoot. I say more and more people are coming along with us now. See all the traders, see all the events, see all the tables, see all the models, get some stuff, buy a t-shirt, the cool things. And also, some people in the EZ8 community are also asking to go back to Bovington again, which is fine because we've got annual tickets if we've been before. But if you're really interested in going to Bovington again, speak up, man. We'll travel up there if you're local. If not, we'll meet you there. It's always nice to meet people from the EZ8 community, and being that it's in a nice public area, meeting people online, even it doesn't matter what scenario, it's always safe to do it somewhere, where you can be seen, right? Be safe, be seen. Just try and be very, very careful about how I tip him over, because all that metal stuff on the side of him there is all exposed. Can you see all those areas? So when it's a quiet day. That's when we're going back. Mike says, ooh, I have tickets for Salute 2. I'm up on the train on the Saturday. Perhaps we could arrange to meet for a cuppa. Absolutely we can. Maybe if you got there on a Friday, you can go for a beer with us in the evening. But, you know, if you've already made your plans, that's fine. But absolutely we will. Let's talk more a little bit closer to the time. Maybe on Discord or something, or on Facebook, and we'll arrange how we can meet up. And of course, if you bring in any friends, because I know that you met us when you went down to Plymouth for Paws, right? So if you know any friends or whatever, we can extend the Easy 8 family and make a nice day of it. It'll be really cool, right? Right, I think this one is done for the moment. So I'm just going to gently ease him down. Trying to be so careful because that paint really wants to come off of that white metal. If I touch him on the front of the casemate and the back of the hull, that's the resin and it's a little bit more durable. What I'm going to do is let him dry a minute, and then I'm going to put some more paint on this bad boy, and then before the end of the show, what I'm hoping to do is get a little bit of varnish on him just to protect, so the one that I've just moved away, get a bit of varnish on him to protect him, because that will do quite a lot to look after him. And then I'm going to see how he goes with a little bit of Agrax Earthshade. In fact, while he's there, I can see a little bit that I've missed in the front. Oh, you... There we go. It's tormenting me. Right. I know he's off camera. Right, you can go over there, you. You. Why? Right. Let's tip this guy upside down. Okay. Look at all that white space on there. I would love to have a go at some other period games. I really am fascinated by World War II. I know, again, it's a story of war, and that's a darker side of it all to kind of unpack, but it's important to understand war. But I would also just like to play something like Bolt Action or Flames of War. Flames of War I can play almost immediately because I've got the tanks for it. I know there's some friends out there who've got some troops for playing it, because that's the difference really between the games that I play. It's just all about tanks. But like Bolt Action would be a great game to have a go at. I just don't have anything really in 28mm. And of course, if I was to get anything in 28mm, all my terrain's in 15mm. So that's why I don't play Bolt Action at the moment, is because it's just more stuff to store, right? Some comments going in here. Leslie says, hope it all goes well for you, Dan. I reckon it will. Oh, okay, cheers. I thought you were going, so I was about to say goodbye. Oh, but Darren's saying bye. See you later, Darren. Have a good evening, mate. Take care of yourself. Nice to see you again. Thanks for coming along. I spat then. Did you see that? I'm so sorry. Mike says, alas, I can't make it up on the Friday. I'm bringing a friend, my son and his friend. I'm meeting my brother there. Okay, yeah, absolutely fine, of course. Stick with your plans. But we'll arrange a place to meet up somewhere at the centre, go and have a cup of tea. We're going to be there all day. And yeah, it'd be nice to kind of put faces to names. I know you've met some of the guys in the community already, but yeah, of course, it would be nice to meet up. And I will be hopefully bringing some Easy 8 merchandise in the form of hoodies, t-shirts, etc. to spread the word of Easy 8. So if you want one, Mike, we'll talk about that closer to the time. I was thinking about wearing flags, like a tent pole, like a samurai sort of thing, so you can have it coming off your back and it goes up like a couple of meters, so that you can see the Easy 8 community no matter where they are. Free advertising as well. Right, okay, that's that little bit done there. Just going to give him some cold air. Like I says, I can teach people to play Bolt Action or Chain of Command. I have all the figures, scenery, etc. in 28mm. Music to my ears. We need to find a centre or somewhere, a hall, where we can go and create an Easy 8 gaming club. a natural evolution there. Easy 8 was originally just set up as Easy 8, and Painting Club was the first of many things, products, if you like. So a gaming club is actually how Easy 8 was originally conceived. I wanted to create a gaming club to bring people together, but then the pandemic hit, and I thought, do you know what? A painting club online to bring people together to paint and hobby together. And I absolutely love it, because from day one I just got messages of people saying that they were motivated to paint models that they haven't done for years, and that was just such a nice feeling. So that was why the painting club was born and stayed. And of course, back then I also had Kyle as a co-host. Haven't heard from Kyle for ages. If you're watching this, Kyle, I hope you're doing well, brother. Lives take us in different directions, don't they? Kyle's a fascinating person to talk to about history and war, because he actually has a degree in war studies and did a dissertation on battle tanks and how he thought they were useless. I disagree, but hey, everyone's allowed to have their school of thought, right? Kyle, lovely bloke, brother from a different mother. I think I'm at a point where I'm almost done here. Just trying to be aware of the time. I know it's only 10 minutes to the end, and I definitely want to get some agrax on that other tank over there. I also want to show you some other bits and pieces I've just got on the side over here that I really wanted to talk about, and I was just about to segue into them, and then I segued out of them, as is my ADHD brain. I heard a great joke earlier on about ADHD, which I thought was very funny. My doctor says that I don't know what HD is, but my doctor says I've got 80 of them. It's even funnier when I mess it up too. Okay, the last little bit just underneath here. And I'm out of paint. Good timing. Just blasting the last little bit of paint out of my airbrush there. I'm going to pass a little bit of water through the hopper. Just make sure there's nothing inside the paint chamber. Jeff says, have been sent a ton of resin bits. Might ask you to undercoat it all for me if you can, or from debris of war, a whole box of barricades. Of course I can, easy peasy, would love to do that for you. I'll come and see you on the weekend, alright? Mike says, battle tanks certainly seem to be popular in some parts of the world at the moment. Yeah, I mean, interesting discussion to have with him. He says that there is like mobile armour, and smaller tanks certainly have their place, but the main battle tank has kind of been born out of trying to beat other battle tanks, so it's kind of got to a point where it's only designed to beat things lesser than it. As well, I kind of disagree. I think that the three main battle tanks of the world, the Abrams, the Challenger 2 and the Leopard, of course there's lots of others, but I think that they are all quite capable of doing lots of different things. Jeff says £5 million tank war versus a 5,000 anti-tank rocket. Yes, that's one of the things that it has to compete with, isn't it? Right, okay, I've got my airbrush empty there. I am just going to move this Churchill over here, and I'm going to bring this one back in, and I want to put a little bit of matte varnish in him. I'm just going to give him a quick dusting with it, just to help seal that stuff in. So, I'm just going to put in a little... Oh, you see that shot over there? And a matte varnish missile. Just going to put in a little dollop in there, like that. I am going to put in a tiny drop of thinner, because I think I've done that in the past, and it's a good thing to do, I think. So... just a tiny drop. This is where I pour in a gallon. dropsies. I'm just gonna clean my brush out so I can mix that, because the varnish is a heavy resin basically. It's very thick, very gloopy, and it sets to the point where it will destroy my airbrush if I don't clean it out quickly. So yes, it needs mixing, but particularly good for protecting this tank. So I'm just gonna little flow test there. There we go. Spin around. Oh, knocking everything over again. I need to clean my desk up. It's got a very unique smell. It's very different from all the paints. Okay, there we go. And now I'm going to put some water through. I'm going to fill that hopper right up. You can see that the colour it turns my water in the hopper. Misty white colour. Yeah. Just force that through a minute. This needs to sit in some alcohol for half an hour and then go into a sonic bath. That's what it needs. And I'm definitely going to get a new needle set, but that's about 40 quid because it needs a new gasket and a new needle and a new nozzle. So yeah, and they're all of course like high manufactured stuff. So yeah, I'm going to put a bit of cleaner through there as well. So just a little bit. Just ran out my 50-50 mix, so I'm just going to put a drop of neat cleaner in there. My bottles are starting to scatter everywhere. Okay, blast that through. Cool. Just screw my bottle list back on. Excuse me. Just give that a second to air dry. I'll remind the people who are just tuning in that the ending is coming. There we go. What I was saying about the scenery, I have been purchasing some stuff from Foreground Terrain, and I think they are absolutely fantastic. So this is one of the little buildings. This is like little apartments or a hotel. It's all laser cut terrain. I normally prefer to avoid laser cut terrain for larger scale games, just because I prefer the quality, the detail, etc. But for such a small game, these little buildings are absolutely perfect. Foreground isn't the only manufacturer, provider, creator of this scale model terrain, but I think they're the best quality ones out there. TT Combat make much more affordable ones, but I think that the detail that are in Foreground is just phenomenal. You can see all the laser cut bricks and things on there. All the floors all come apart, so if you played with troops you could play in all the different stories of this building. And I've got pretty much a whole town's worth of this stuff now. So this is the apartments that I've got. Just to kind of give you a bit of a taster, I've just pulled out a few buildings. So I've got a terraced building here. Let me just take that apart and put it back in before I bring it into the camera. It's got a cat hair on it, of course it has. So this is the terraced of houses that I've got. So it's got like back doors and front doors and things on there. I think they're absolutely brilliant. But what I did when I bought my recent batch is I bought like an insert for an extra story. So I get an extra one of these then, and I just slot them in. They've got like little wooden pins in the corners so that they lock into the floor above them. If you wanted to, I suppose you could magnetize them if you're into that. And now I've got an even taller set of terraced houses. Leslie's going right now. Got to depart, everyone. See you later, Leslie. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for your constant kindness and support. Cheers, mate. So I've got a set of terraces there. And the one that I've been working on over the last few days is really complex. It's really detailed. This is like a corner bakery. This one comes with acrylic for the insides of the windows with graphics and things. This is a bakery. I'm doing a grocery as well. There's going to be a big sign on the front up here. And it's a corner, so if you wanted to, you can butt other buildings up to it and actually have it as a part of the whole street. It's got to have chimneys put on there and all the signs and things on it. Absolutely fantastic. And once I've done the other corner building that I've got, I'm also going to build the church from them as well. And I think that will end my terrain complement for this scale games, just because it's only a 4x4 board and anything more is just too much. Although you could do some really cool like street warfare. I've also got a few pillboxes as well. This pillbox is a resin pillbox that comes from Last Man Last Bullet, which I did have a link for it in the description, but if you go back a few episodes I think it's there. It's not there now. I've got this pillbox, I've got a machine gun nest, a smaller pillbox. Yeah, they're really, really cool. I love them. Brilliant, right? The idea with all of these is they fit into just one big box. I've got like an A3 sized box from the Useful Box Company, one with foliage and bocage, another one with just houses and trees and things like that in there. And that's how I store it all. If it was 28mm, it would be overflown all over the place, and I wouldn't be able to store it anywhere. And my partner would be like, "That's enough of that then." So, Agrax Earthshade. I'm going to use the new recipe Agrax Earthshade because I've got the old one here, but somewhere. Where are you? Here it is. This is the new recipe. Why not, right? Give it a good old shake. Not going to put it on the Wazomatic. Doesn't need it. Some other comments. Mike says about £50,000 according to Google. So your point stands. Nice. Jeff says, we will soon see how the Challenger 2 does against modern Russian tanks. It's going to eat them. Yeah, the Panther. Hopefully not the Panther. The Leopard. The Leopard's out there now, isn't it? And of course today is the year anniversary of the war in Ukraine, which when the war in Ukraine actually started, here on Easy 8 I actually had a moment to, share some words of support for the Ukraine, because I disagree with it, obviously. Don't want to get too heavy and talk about it too much, but I wish it ends quickly, and I'm on the side of Ukraine for it. I think it's a terrible thing to be happening over there. Stop war, bad. Anyway, cat hairs on my tank already. Come on now. So we have got some varnish on this Churchill. It probably needs more time to dry, but I just want to see how well this colour works on this colour. Hopefully it comes out something close to this tank here. I have a feeling this one might need to be repainted if I want them all to look similar. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to plaster it on heavily onto detailed areas, and then I'm going to try and manipulate it with water, basically, like I would a thinner. So if I just paint it on heavy like that, one of the reasons why I've varnished it is so that as I'm playing with this, it doesn't like pick paint up and move it around, chip it off, etc. So if I just wash my brush out now and come in with a saturated watery brush, I should be able to move that filter around. Yeah, water that Agrax right down, even more now that I can move it around quite a bit. My water actually needs cleaning, so I'm going to stop adding so much water from there. I've got water in a little dropper bottle over here on standby. So now with a dry brush I can pick a lot of it up, wipe it off the tissue, and I know that when this dries a lot of it will evaporate, so it's pooling up quite a bit around the side of the hatch there. That's fine. And I'm going to leave it a little bit streaky because I want it to not just be a wash. I don't want it to just be a pin wash. I want it to be a weathering thing as well. And that has gone on perfectly. It's quite different than this. It's actually, probably because of the water has enhanced that green, but I reckon it will dry different. Cool, alright. I'm now going to go onto the back part over here. So again, I'm just going to go in quite heavy on the rear. Speaking of anniversaries, today marks the 100th year since the Flying Scotsman left Doncaster Works to start work on the LNER. I don't know what that is, but yay, 100th year. A centenary. Cool, so I'm going quite heavy in the back here. Lots of details to get paint into. I'm also going to the back of the casemate while I'm there, why not? I like my tanks to be quite grubby around the engine block. Just one of those things that I think became a bit of a signature for me. So yeah, I'm quite happy to put quite a bit on there. And then again, I'm going to just put a little drop of water on it because my paint water is quite dirty now. There we go. That's probably a bit too much, that. Worth having a go, isn't it? Yeah, okay, drop a bottle's probably a bit too excessive. But it'll dry and I can go over it again. That's fine, that's cool. It's still doing the right job. I'm just going to come in with a bit more Agrax that just kind of replace that pigment in there. That's cool. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a drop on here. And now I can actually put my paintbrush in it and I'm going to run it down the sides of the skirts for the tracks. And then I'm going to put Agrax right on it, and it'll do the same thing. Yes, it does. This is essentially a sludge wash. I'm just trying to keep it neater. So a few bubbles and stuff in there that I'm not too fond of. I don't want them to dry with bubbles in it. So as I'm going around, I'm just trying to make sure that I can try and like move them to a side or pop them. As the paint sets, they do kind of pop on their own, but I don't want them to pop or to stay there. Oops, again, another drop of water just there. Bigger drop than that, come on. There we go. And I'm going to scoop that up on my paintbrush. And I should run that along the tops of the tracks. Now give me a really dilute surface, medium, to put the Agrax onto. That's not too bad on the back there now. I still think that this actually could be even darker still. I could mix a little bit of black into it, but I'm not going to because it's a 50mm model and the Agrax is doing a fine job on its own. Just to make sure that I'm being consistent, I'm going to go up the sides of the casemate again here, and then I'm going to go at the front of the casemate, and that'll be the last little bit that I do today, because I know that my partner is waiting for me to go and pick her up. Just going to pick up the water there, on the front of the casemate and down the front of the glacis. I was going to call it the glacis then, but I think that's wrong, and the cannon. I'm going to pick up a little bit of Agrax from the pot and just drop that in there. Once the show is done, I will take a photograph of this and pop it on Facebook so that you can see what it looks like in true light conditions, because I know that the cameras here don't do it justice. That's the tough bit in there, let's just down the sides of the cannon on the insides of the tracks at the front there. Difficult. That. Oh, I just knocked over my other Churchill. If I put my other Churchill beside it for a comparison, you can see the difference that has made. If I bring my lights in here, hopefully you can see that really good, really close, really well. I don't even know what my words are anymore. God, gee, I'm glad this is going on the internet live so that everyone can hear me how I talk. Right, I'm going to come away from here. Some of the comments going in. Can anyone explain to me the difference between new and old Agrax Earthshade? Is one a darker tone or something? So, yeah, the Agrax Earthshade, the newer pot, is basically a new recipe made by Games Workshop. So you've got the older one. They actually come in the larger pots, unfortunately. The old ones, the new ones come in slightly smaller ones. Basically, they've just kind of fiddled around with the recipe on their washes, or what they call their shades. So the Nuln Oil and the Agrax Earthshade are the two that I use, or especially the Agrax I use quite a lot. they basically just made them different to behave differently. The Nuln oil was one that was used commonly by gamers all over the place, but I notoriously struggled with it. I don't really remember why. It just didn't behave the way that I wanted to. It would not go into the right places. It wouldn't pool in the right ways, and yeah, I never got on with it. So I spent probably a good few months on this show trying to find other products that would get the effects that I wanted. It was great exploration, but I really wanted Nuln to behave itself to the point where if I started to use it, people in the live chat started shouting at me to stop using it. I can say now that the new recipe of Nuln oil has brought me back to it. I now use it. It is good, and that's the first time I've used Agrax Earthshade. Having a look at them, there's ever so slight difference between the two of them. Agrax, the new Agrax, is slightly darker, slightly colder. Agrax, I think, is a colder brown. I use Agrax for cold dark browns, and I use Seraphim Sepia for warmer, slightly lighter browns. They have their different properties. I like them. Yeah, it's the first time I've used the new recipe Agrax. Unfortunately, it's not that you can buy the new one, the old one. It's a replacement. So there you go. I like it. It's good. It behaves very well. I'm looking forward to seeing that dry on the Churchill. Unfortunately, it has shown the little mould line on the top of the tracks, but whatever. Adrian says London North Eastern Railway. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Or as it's known these days, the East Coast Main Line. The North Coast to East Coast, same thing, right? Good looking model. I like it, says Jeff. Thanks very much. Hopefully it will blow the backsides off of my enemies. That's what I'm hoping. Big gun, right? Oh, I've got the hiccups. I'm so excited. Anyway, that's enough from me this evening. Before we do go, I just thought I'd report in and say that the gaming pit store held true to their word, and they sent me a new set of Rivers tiles. I wanted to make sure that I came on air as soon as I could to say thank you so much, Matt and the team at the Pit Gaming Shop, or the Gaming Pit, the Pit Gaming. Yeah, those guys. There's a link to their store down there. Go and check them out. Super nice, kind, respectful, honest service. Really keen nerd gamer types that sell cool stuff. Last week I spoke about that I went to the Plymouth Association of Wargamers show, picked up a river set, opened it up, and it was a slope set. It was the same cost, but I didn't want slopes. I wanted rivers so that I could make some diorama sets with bridges. Dioramas, tabletop sets, yeah. Sent them an email, and they were like, we're so sorry, keep hold of the slopes, we'll send you this for free. They did. Thank you so much. I haven't opened it yet. Hopefully it is Rivers. It was just a packing error from Anomalia, I think is the name of the company that makes them. Not their fault at all. I'm super happy with it. Thank you so much for letting me keep the other stuff. I was willing to send it back, but they told me to keep hold of it. So go check these guys out. They're wonderful. Really cool service. Really nice. So thanks for that, guys. I hope you guys have had a really good evening today. I certainly have really enjoyed doing something a little bit different. I love tanks, you know how I feel about tanks. And I'm not going to be able to do anything else this evening. So looking forward to cracking on over the weekend. I hope you guys have got lots done. I'd love to see your photos online. Remember that I do absolutely genuinely enjoy seeing what it is that you're working on. So flood Facebook and Discord at the Easy After Party. That side, with pictures of your stuff, pictures, videos, whatever. And of course, if you're up for the tea in a bag challenge, tea bag, sugar, condensed milk, all in a bag, boil it up, have a brew. I'm going to have to do some research, but I'd love to see what it is that you guys come up with. Research, videos, pictures, whatever. Let's have some fun with that. Hopefully no food poisoning. I'm not responsible for that. Okay. Until next week, please be safe, stay kind, or the other way around. Stay kind, be kind, stay safe, whatever it is. But keep on painting. I'll see you next week. Take care. My name's Danny. See you soon. Cheers now. Bye-bye. Yeah, my music's still not there, right? Oh, I see. I somehow muted it. Cool. Good to know.